and defund the police?
I think you do all those other things, you don't need all the money that's going to the police department. So yeah, I mean, the spirit of it, I do support that.
Oh, they do though. Huh. Imagine that. See, it is about defunding the police. Now he says, Biden's like, oh no, I want to fund them. And what is it? His Make America blah, blah, blah plan. It's not making America safer. It really isn't. But that's his Make America Safe plan. Safer America, whatever plan. And he laid this out. He was trying to get past all of the economic awfulness and try to chart a new course for offense that Democrats can use going through midterms because they're struggling. But what does it mean when he's like, oh yeah, we want to fund? He went back and he was rehashing some of the stuff that PolitiFact, the super conservatives at PolitiFact Kane. I mean, they're just like modern day little Reagans. They actually, because this first came up in 2021 when the bill was first proposed, they've rated his argument that Republicans voted against police funding. They rated it as being false. It was a part of his plan that didn't make it. And he stuffed a portion in there. It was like it was like supposed to be for police funding, but it ended up somehow actually not going to local police departments. I can't remember who actually broke it down. I think it may have been Mike Lee or Rand Paul. And they were like, this doesn't go to police departments. You can't get mad at people for voting against something when you cram it in something even more awful. Oh, in order to get this, you have to pass this more horrible thing. Nobody's going to take that. That's not a good exchange. No one's going to take that deal. And so he went off and was saying, oh, Republicans, they all voted against it. Well, PolitiFact was like, that's not what happened. PolitiFact. And he repeated it again last night. Now, his big thing that he was pushing, he wanted to hire what he said, he wanted to hire 100,000 more officers for what he said was community policing. And I'm looking at some of his remarks. I love how they also put, by the way, in the transcript, the audience members yelling, I love you, and I love you too. That's so lame. I've never seen anybody do that, by the way. I just gotta tell you, I've never seen the White House do that with a transcript. So he was saying that no federal officer is allowed to use a chokehold. No federal officer can restrict, no-knock warrants and database, blah, blah, blah. So first off, I'm not quite sure how this works, particularly in the cities that are Democrat controlled, that historically have the most problems with police. I've talked about this before. I've written pieces actually on my old website, danaloesch.com, where the cities that have these issues with police, if you look at who's running the cities, they're Democrats. Who appoints a police chief, Kane? You know who appoints a police chief?
The mayor.
The mayor. Who is in these Democrat-run cities, the mayor's typically of what party? Democrats. So you got Democrat mayors appointing Democrat police chiefs, and then Democrats are mad because they don't like how the police departments that are run by Democrats, nominated by Democrats, are run? Where's the problem here? I mean, in St. Louis, with the Ferguson stuff, same issue. I mean, when you look at these police departments, that's typically how it is. No, I'm not saying all police chiefs that are Democrat are bad. But I'm saying Democrats act like they have we didn't know. We don't know who did it. It's like a little kid getting in the cookie jar. Who ate the cookie? They got chocolate all over their face. I didn't do it. I don't know who did it. I didn't eat anything. It's hurt and rescue. It's the tactic of hurt and rescue. They cause the hurt and then they act like they got a rescue plan for it. That's not how this works. Furthermore, what this is a step towards nationalizing the police force. I am 1,000% against any kind of federal control or oversight over local police.
Everybody should be.
That should terrify you. This is not an issue of whether you back the blue. Don't let them conflate that and trick you into thinking that the only way you can back the blue is to support a federalized police force. Let me ask you this, because I've dealt with so many amazing cops. We have a great local police department. I'm happy to support them. You know, they're all great folks. They work so hard, but I know that there's bad cops out there. I am very well known to have sat on a stage with a bad cop and him accusing me of not doing his job when he failed to follow up on all these reports coming in about this murderer who went off to commit mass murder. I'm very familiar with bad cops. I had another bad cop, Art Acevedo, who threatened to use the police department and his resources to surveil me because I disagreed with him on concealed and campus carry. So I know bad cops. I completely agree with the critics out there that they do exist because I've dealt with them. I've dealt with many more who are good. But let me ask you this. For those people who are worried about bad policing and are already frustrated about trying to work with their community and police departments, how much more awful do you think that job is going to be when all the control for that position and that work and all the decisions aren't made by a local chief or a local sheriff? A sheriff's accountable to the people. But by Washington, D.C., and some bureaucrat thousands of miles away from you. How do you think that's going to work? How much more will that abuse go unchecked? That's a legitimate question. Democrats want to drive and Kane notes this, and he's right, they want to drive a wedge between police and communities so that they can create a need for them to come in and exploit it and say, well, we can manage this and make it better. That's the way to federalize the police force. That is what Biden is pushing for in here.